Yo, what's up everyone? Kyrios here, and today I'm going to show you my target elimination promised land one-shot team. Or it's pretty close to a one-shot team, which we like to call the Centaur, so C9. I'm going to show you guys the characters I used. I'm going to show you the strategy, the autoing, and the different gear that I used in order to do it. And I hope you guys enjoy. Let's kick off the video. And if you guys are new here, hit that like and subscribe. I do appreciate it. Let's go. All right, guys. I'm going to break down these different fights into different All right, guys, I'm going to break down these fights into different videos. Now, the C9s are really not that hard. And the fact that I was able to get there in like 4 days just goes to show you that, you know, eventually when they expand these or they get better and better, it'll get harder and harder. So we'll recap them as they go. But I do want to show you guys the C9 and especially my one-shot team. So I'll show you the team that you will use for now the one-shot. I couldn't get that online, but I think one-shot is going to be very viable for those that pulled a decent amount of characters. So quickly, I want to go over the team. So the team, this is the team I use for the one-shot team. So quickly, I want to go over the gear and where you get some of this gear. Now, for your main set gear, something I do want to point out is that you want to make sure that you're setting up sets. This is just a general tip that I'm going to keep saying to people, is that you want to make sure you set up multiple different sets, whether you have a farming gear set, a main DPS set, some speed sets, maybe some status accuracy sets, and maybe some tank sets, because it's going to allow you to share that gear between your different teams depending on what content you're trying to get down. So you can see here that for my Gengar, I need to put on my DPS set just to make sure that we get there. And we'll go over the stats in a second, but most of this gear is free to play. And if you guys are wondering where you get that free to play gear, it's really in these rookie challenges. And so that's why you want to progress in the main story. It's going to get you some 5-star accessories, and then it's going to get you some 4 and 5-star actual gear through here. So make sure you guys progress and get that free gear, because that's going to set up your main DPS. So let's talk about the team comp we have for target elimination. If I can figure out where I'm going. Now, you're going to have to farm stage 7, stage 8, and stage 9, because you see the way that they spread it out is that there's only a certain amount of sets on each stage. And unfortunately, the best set that we're really looking for is this one right here. But stage 8 is a good compromise as well for that weapon and for the propulsion systems, because those will have great stats as well. Now, for some of these other stats, like your chest piece and stuff like that, you might want to do an offset on those, and you'll be able to farm silent, or whatever this thing's called, silent
recital.
I have no idea how to pronounce that, but you'll end up farming, so you can get stage 7 done a lot easier. So you'll end up farming a lot of your crit sets here, which is actually a really good thing, right? So you're going to focus your main sets over on like stage 8 and stage 9 on the Centaur, and then you're going to do some offsets on some others. Now, in order to do this fight, it does take a little bit of RNG. So let's go over the stats of our characters real quick. Now, this is currently my Gengar. She's sitting at about 4,700 attack with 73% crit rate. Now, that crit rate is not good. We want to be at least at about 85 to 87% crit rate, because you're going to get some natural crit for going against red units anyways. So her crit rate's off, so that adds a little bit of RNG to my runs, and I'm not a big fan of that. The other thing that gives a little bit of RNG is that her status accuracy is only 30%, which is really, really bad. You want to be at about 47 to 50%. That's going to make it so she lands herself a lot more. So I'm actually crippling myself a little bit on my runs, but I can clean it up over time as we get better and better gear. Crit damage is out of control, and that's what you want, is high crit damage and attack as humanly possible. Have her maxed out in technology, and her gear is really that free gear. I'm using all the free gear I have at her, and then, you know, you want to focus on that weapon, you want to focus on that crit damage, you want to focus on that attack. And then luckily for me, through the shop, I was able to find another crit piece, and then I merged another blue over from some of our free stuff to get some other additional sets. Speaking of Gengar, before I move on, you do need to max out Gengar's S2 and S3 at a minimum, and it'd be good to get her status proc probability up as high as possible, so at least +4 here. But you're only going to have so many of those gold upgrades to spread around. So you have to figure out, are you doing PvE or PvP? And I highly suggest you do it on your Gengar, in my opinion. Now, moving on to our next up, we do have Alice. So hopefully you guys do have Alice. She really doesn't need much other than speed, and you need the speed tune here. So you can see that I need Gengar as slow as possible. So she needs to be the one that goes last. And then Alice needs to go second to last. And the reason that you do that is that you're going to essentially use her S2 skill first on Gengar to give her that attack buff and give her 2 attacks to try and burst down that boss. She's not really going to be used for anything else on this particular fight. And you really don't even need the skill upgrader, but you just need to make sure that she's tanky enough so that she doesn't get one shot and that her speed is tuned properly. Next up, we do have Chihaya, and Chihaya was a free unit in the first event. Hopefully you guys got her maxed out, because that full technology is absolutely amazing. Helps out your team, does a little bit more damage. Now her gear is a little scuffed. I'm using some crit sets that I just was able to farm on the others just to get her crit set. You know, she has way too much crit. She, like I said, she should be around that 85 to 90%. And then her attack is not looking that good, and her crit damage is pretty okay, but her status accuracy is where we want it to be. So over time we will fix her gear to be faster, and I would love for her to be somewhere in the 180 to 200 range of speed to get some extra attacks to really ensure that one-shot team down. You're using her specifically for her defense breaking. That defense breaking is key. So you're probably going to want to max out that S3 and S2 and S1. Absolutely amazing. She's a great unit. She's used all over the place. Okay, and for my final one, I have Cyril. And now Cyril is another 5-star, so you may not have Cyril, you know, given it's the beginning of the game and we all rolled for Gengar and a bunch of other things. But Cyril is what really sets up this one-shot, mainly for this S2 ability that gives her 4 stacks. Now you're wondering how you get 4 stacks. It's through this technology. You need to get up to phase 3. To go from 2 stacks to 4 stacks, and that's going to absolutely set her apart in order to set up your team for a one-shot. Now, gear-wise, I just want to make sure she's pretty fast. Using a speed set, using a accuracy set. I have way too much status accuracy here. I could obviously lower that. I'd love for that attack to be somewhere in the 3,500 to 5,000 attack range. But I'll have to tune that in over time. You don't really need crits because burns don't crit and all that goodness, as far as I know. So correct me in the comments down below if I'm wrong on that one. But really fast, just getting everything built up. You don't really need to upgrade any of the S2 or S3 in this opinion, because not really doing damage that way. But you could skill up S1 in order to give you a higher status chance to get that up to 50%. Just to help better ensure the one shot, just in case you get a ton, and maybe you'll get 5 burns off and it'll set up Gengar across the board. But you do need to farm that technology up to S3. Now let me talk about the teams that you'll probably do. This is ideally really the team that you'll be doing. Now if you're not trying to go for a one shot, you'll put Morris in there, and Morris will help keep your team alive. You're gonna let the speed tuner, so to make sure that she does the proper amount of healing. She does her S2 first, then her S3, and she's gonna need to be a little bit geared. But this is really the team that you would be going for if you're not trying to do a one shot. Now, one other person that I would like to point out that you can do is that if you don't have Alice and you have a lot more 5-stars, you could sub Quinn in there, and Quinn's got that attack buff and that speed buff, and it's absolutely amazing. So this is more of a T2, like a turn 2 kill, than like a turn 1 kill. But Quinn could be put in there in case you don't have Alice. But most people will pick up Alice over time. All right, quickly before we get started in the kill, there's a couple of things I just want to point out for some quick tips. One, every now and then the Centaur is just going to one-shot one of your team, and it's just going to be game over until you're fully kitted out, and especially at level 50s. You have a high chance of getting one shot. So hopefully she does hit the front line as your more 2 tanky units, but every now and then it'll just be mayhem. Now I want to go over auto priorities real quick, just to make sure you guys have this in. For Gengar, you want to make sure that she does her S2 first, no matter what, all the time before her S3. So you want to make sure that it's skilled and SP move. Now for Alice, you want to make sure her skill move is her number 1. You're not really using her S3. You can actually put S3 off because you can't even really slow Centaur or I've never been able to slow Centaur. So you're really just using that S3. Now to go into that, you also need to set that that S2, that S2 Doomsday Clock. You also need to set the priority, and that priority we're going to set is to target position 1 is that position that Genga's in, or whatever position that she's in for you. Now for Chihaya, you want to make sure that Chihaya starts with that S3 to get that defense breaker, and then goes into an S2 in order to increase the amount of debuff durations that you get from Cyril on top of that. And then for Cyril, you want to make sure that that S2 goes first, and you could do the S3 or the S1. It doesn't matter. I do the S1 just in case Cyril gets an extra turn and gets an extra debuff on that target. It just helps out secure the kill just in case it goes past the one shot. All right, there you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. That was really a turn and a half because Genga didn't get to go again. So I'm just going to chalk that up as a win. This works for me. I can set this to auto, and I'll probably win. I don't know how many I win out of 15 attempts, but over time, it'll get better and better. But it gives you guys a good primer. Hopefully that helped you out. Hit that like and subscribe once again. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.